The purple grass beneath Alex Reed's boots felt strange compared to Earth's green fields. He knelt down and carefully collected samples, placing each one into sealed containers. His scanner beeped softly as it recorded the alien plant's DNA structure. 3 months of exploring this unnamed planet had given him enough data to fill 20 research papers. "Beautiful work out here, Doc," his teammate Ben called out from behind a cluster of orange trees. "These readings are off the charts. Command is going to love this." Alex smiled and wiped sweat from his forehead. The twin suns overhead made the afternoon hot, but the cool breeze carried sweet scents from flowers he had never seen before. After 15 years studying life on Earth, discovering new species every day felt like a dream come true. His communication device crackled. "Reed, this is Captain Ross aboard the Dawn's Edge. We're picking up some unusual energy signatures in your area. Pack it up and return to base camp immediately." "Copy that, Captain. We're about finished here anyway." Alex stood up and brushed dirt from his knees. Something felt wrong. The forest around them had gone quiet. No more chirping from the small blue creatures that lived in the treetops. Even the wind had stopped. Ben emerged from the trees, his face pale. "Doc, you need to see this." Alex followed him to a small clearing where Ben pointed upward. Dark shapes moved across the sky, blotting out portions of the twin suns. The ships were massive, easily 10 times larger than their research vessel. Their hulls gleamed like black metal and strange symbols glowed along their sides. "Those aren't ours," Alex whispered. The ground beneath their feet began to vibrate. Trees swayed as the alien ships descended. Alex grabbed his emergency communicator and tried to reach the Dawn's Edge, but only static answered him. The alien ships had jammed all frequencies. "Run," Alex said quietly. Then louder, "Run!" They sprinted through the purple grass toward their landing shuttle. Behind them, bright beams of light swept across the forest. Where the beams touched, plants withered and died instantly. The aliens were sterilizing the area. Alex's lungs burned as he ran. The shuttle sat just ahead, its silver hull reflecting the alien lights. Ben reached it first and began the startup sequence. The engines hummed to life just as the first alien soldiers appeared at the forest edge. They looked like insects standing, upright with forearms and heads that seemed too large for their bodies. Their skin was dark green and they moved with frightening speed. Energy weapons fired from their hands, sending bolts of red light past the fleeing humans. "Get us out of here," Alex shouted as he dove into the shuttle. Ben's hands flew over the controls. The shuttle lifted off just as more alien soldiers surrounded their former position. They climbed rapidly, breaking through the atmosphere within minutes. Alex looked back at the planet's surface and saw dozens of alien ships landing near their research sites. "There's the Dawn's Edge," Ben said, pointing at their research vessel orbiting the planet. But something was wrong. The Dawn's Edge hung, motionless in space, its lights dim. Debris floated around it, pieces of hull and equipment scattered like leaves in the wind. More alien ships surrounded the wreckage. "No," Alex breathed. "Captain Ross, the whole crew." A new voice filled their shuttle's communication system. It spoke in perfect English, though with a strange accent that made each word sound sharp and cold. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Any attempt to flee will result in your destruction." Ben looked at Alex with desperate eyes. "What do we do?" Alex stared at the ruins of their ship and thought about the 43 crew members who had been aboard. Good people, scientists and explorers, who had come here to learn, not to fight. Now they were gone. "We surrender," Alex said quietly. Tractor beams seized their shuttle and pulled them toward the largest alien ship. As they got closer, Alex could see that it was even more massive than he had thought. Weapon ports lined its surface like the eyes of a spider. This was not a ship, built for exploration. This was a warship. The shuttle was drawn into a docking bay filled with other captured vehicles. Some looked human, but others belonged to species Alex had never seen. The aliens had been busy collecting prisoners from across the galaxy. Armed, guards surrounded their shuttle the moment it touched down. The insect-like creatures wore dark armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. Their large eyes showed no emotion as they gestured for Alex and Ben to exit. A taller alien approached them. Its armor was decorated with symbols of rank, and its 4 arms moved with authority. When it spoke, the voice was the same one that had ordered their surrender. "I am Commander Velnok of the Hegemony 3rd Fleet. You are now prisoners of the Galactic Hegemony. You will be questioned, and you will provide us with information about your species' capabilities." "We're scientists," Alex said. "We don't know anything about military capabilities." Velnok's head tilted to one side. "Your species has repelled 3 separate invasion attempts by advanced civilizations. You possess weapons or tactics unknown to us. We will discover these secrets." "3 invasions?" Ben asked. "What are you talking about?" "The Korvath Dominion, the Zell Collective, the Eternal Empire, all failed to conquer your homeworld despite overwhelming technological advantages. This is impossible, unless you possess hidden capabilities." Alex felt confused. Earth had never been invaded by aliens, at least not that he knew about. The government kept many secrets, but alien invasion seemed like something that would be hard to hide. "I think there's been a mistake," Alex said. "Earth hasn't fought any alien invasions." Velnok's eyes grew brighter. "Earth. Yes, we know this name. And you will tell us how your people defeated 3 of the galaxy's most powerful empires." 2 guards stepped forward and placed metal restraints around Alex's and Ben's wrists. The devices hummed with energy and felt cold against their skin. "You will be taken to detention facility Omega-7, Velnok continued. "There you will have time to consider your situation. I suggest you prepare to be more forthcoming with information. Administrator Krell has methods for encouraging cooperation." As they were led away, Alex caught a glimpse of other prisoners in nearby cells. Beings from across the galaxy, all looking defeated and scared. Some appeared to have been imprisoned for a long time, based on their thin bodies and hollow eyes. The guards pushed Alex and Ben into a transport ship. Through a small window, Alex watched as the alien fleet moved away from the research planet. Soon, even the twin suns were just distant points of light. Alex closed his eyes and tried to understand what had happened. One day, he was collecting plant samples and studying alien ecosystems. Now he was a prisoner of war in a conflict he didn't even know existed. Somewhere ahead lay detention facility Omega-7 and Administrator Krell's methods for encouraging cooperation. He thought about the Dawn's Edge and its crew, about Ben sitting beside him, trying not to show his fear, about Earth and these mysterious invasions that had never happened as far as he knew. The transport ship jumped to hyperspace and the stars became lines of light stretching toward an unknown destination. Red dust covered everything on Keth Prime. Alex squinted through the transport window at the barren landscape below. No plants, no water, no signs of life anywhere. Just endless stretches of crimson rock under a dark sky filled with distant stars. Detention. Facility Omega-7 sat in the middle of this wasteland like a metal tumor. The prison was enormous, with towers that reached toward the sky and walls that seemed to stretch for miles. Guard ships circled overhead like mechanical vultures. "Welcome to your new home, human," the transport pilot said with what might have been amusement in his voice. Ben had been separated from Alex during a refueling stop 3 days ago. The guards claimed they were being taken to different facilities, but Alex suspected his friend was probably dead. The thought made his chest tight with grief and anger. The transport landed on a platform near the prison's main entrance. Armed guards immediately surrounded Alex as he stepped out. The air on Keth Prime felt thin and cold, burning his lungs with each breath. Gravity was heavier than Earth normal, making his legs feel like they were made of lead. Administrator Krell waited in the entrance hall. He was different from Commander Velnok, belonging to a species Alex hadn't seen before. Krell stood about 7 feet tall with pale blue skin and eyes that were completely black. His mouth was too wide for his face, and when he smiled, Alex could see rows of pointed teeth. "Dr. Alex Reed," Krell said, reading from a data tablet. "Xenobiologist, age 34, no military training, no combat experience. Quite unremarkable, really. Then why am I here? Alex asked. Krell's smile grew wider. Because you're human, and humans are dangerous, even the weak ones like yourself. My job is to understand exactly how dangerous. They walked through corridors, filled with the sounds of suffering. Alien voices cried out in languages Alex didn't recognize. Metal doors lined the walls, each one sealed shut with electronic locks. The air smelled like fear and desperation. Omega-7 houses the galaxy's most dangerous criminals, Krell explained as they walked. Murderers, terrorists, war criminals, being so violent that execution would be considered merciful. They live here until they die, forgotten by the universe. I'm not a criminal, Alex said. No, but you're something potentially worse. You're a mystery, and I don't like mysteries. They stopped at a heavy door marked Z9. The number was painted in bright red, and warning symbols covered the metal surface. Krell placed his hand on a scanner, and multiple locks disengaged with loud clicks. Your cellmate has been with us for 7 years, Krell said. He destroyed an entire hegemony patrol fleet single-handedly, 27 ships, over 3,000 soldiers. We've never seen anything like it. The door slid open with a grinding sound. The cell beyond was large, perhaps 20 feet square, with walls made of reinforced metal. A single light panel provided dim illumination. In the far corner, something moved in the shadows. His species are natural predators, Krell continued. They require fresh meat to survive. We haven't fed him in 4 days. Alex's blood went cold. You're using me as food. I'm conducting an experiment. Will the human's mysterious capabilities protect him? Or will he simply become another meal? Either way, I'll learn something valuable. Guards shoved Alex into the cell. The door slammed shut behind him with finality. Electronic locks engaged, sealing him in with whatever lurked in the shadows. Alex's eyes slowly adjusted to the dim light. The thing in the corner was huge, easily 9 feet tall even while sitting. Its body was covered in dark fur marked with lighter stripes. Forearms ended in claws that looked like they could cut through steel. Its head was elongated, with a mouth full of sharp teeth and eyes that glowed yellow in the darkness. Another prisoner, the creature said in a deep, rumbling voice. They think you will amuse me before I kill you. Alex tried to keep his voice steady. I'm not here to amuse anyone. My name is Alex Reed. The creature's glowing eyes studied him. Names are meaningless here. I am what they made me. Rage, violence, death. That's what they call you. But what did your people call you? The question seemed to surprise the creature. Its head tilted slightly, and for a moment the glow in its eyes dimmed. I had another name once. Long ago. Alex moved slowly away, from the door, keeping his hands visible. He had spent years studying animal behavior, and many of the same principles applied to intelligent species. Show no fear, but also no aggression. Respect the creature's space while demonstrating that you weren't a threat. How long have you been in this cell? Alex asked. Time has no meaning here. Seasons pass. The guards change. I remain. 7 years, they told me. The creature's eyes flared brighter. 7 years of darkness. 7 years of silence. 7 years of slow madness creeping through my mind like poison. Alex noticed details that the guards probably missed. The creature's fur was patchy in places, showing old scars and wounds that had healed badly. Its breathing was slightly labored, suggesting malnutrition or untreated injuries. Most telling of all, it rocked slightly back and forth. A behavior pattern Alex recognized as a response to prolonged isolation. You're Vorthak, Alex said. I've read about your species. You're social creatures. Being alone like this must be torture. The creature's rocking stopped. You know my people? A little. Xenobiology was my field. I studied how different species interact with their environments. Vorthaks have complex social structures based on family groups. You're not meant to be alone. No one has spoken that name in years, Vorthak. The creature's voice became quieter. The guards call us monsters, killers. They forget we once had homes. Families. What happened to your family? Pain flickered across the creature's features. Dead. Killed when they captured me. My mate. My cubs. All dead. Alex felt a familiar ache in his chest. The same grief he carried for Ben and the crew of the Dawn's Edge. The same loss that connected him to this alien predator in ways their captors couldn't understand. I'm sorry, Alex said simply. The creature's eyes met his. You speak strangely for prey. I'm not prey. I'm a prisoner, just like you. Prisoners die here, slowly, painfully. The guards enjoy watching suffering. Then maybe we shouldn't give them what they want. For the first time, something like curiosity appeared in the creature's glowing eyes. What do you mean? They expect you to kill me. They expect me to cower in fear. They're watching us right now, waiting for entertainment. Alex gestured toward the small cameras mounted near the ceiling. What if we disappointed them? The creature followed his gaze to the surveillance devices. A low growl rumbled in its throat. They always watch, always judge, always find new ways to cause pain. So let's be boring prisoners instead of giving them a show. Alex sat down against one wall, careful to maintain distance but showing he wasn't afraid. The creature watched him warily, but made no aggressive moves. You said you had another name, Alex continued. Before they made you into rage. The creature was quiet for a long time. Outside the cell, footsteps echoed in the corridor. Guard patrols making their rounds. Probably disappointed that screaming hadn't started yet. Sevrak, the creature finally whispered. Stormbringer. My cubs chose that name when they learned to speak. Sevrak, Alex repeated, pronouncing it carefully. That's a good name. Strong. Names have power among my people. To speak someone's true name is to acknowledge their spirit. Then I'll remember. It's Sevrak, not rage. The creature's rocking motion stopped completely. For several minutes, the only sound in the cell was their breathing and the distant hum of the prison's systems. Why are you here, human? Sevrak asked eventually. Alex told him about the research mission, the attack, the capture. He spoke about Ben and the Dawn's Edge crew, about Earth and the invasions that supposedly never happened. Sevrak listened, without interruption, his glowing eyes never leaving Alex's face. Your people defeated the Korvath, Sevrak said when Alex finished. I fought them once. They are not easily beaten. We've never seen them. At least I never did. Perhaps your leaders kept secrets. Perhaps your people fight differently than others expect. As they talked, Alex began to notice changes in Sevrak's behavior. The constant tension in his muscles relaxed slightly. His breathing became more regular. Most importantly, the mad gleam in his eyes dimmed, replaced by something that looked almost like hope. The guards would be disappointed tonight. Their entertainment had turned into something else entirely. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. Alex counted the drops to measure time's passage. 47 drops meant roughly 10 minutes had passed since the last guard patrol. He had been keeping track for 3 days now, learning the prison's rhythm. Sevrak sat in his usual corner, but no longer rocked back and forth. Instead, he watched Alex with curious eyes, occasionally asking questions about Earth or human behavior. The massive Vorthak seemed almost hungry for conversation after years of silence. Your species builds cities above ground, Sevrak said. Vorthaks prefer underground caves, safer from storms and enemies. Different environments create different solutions, Alex replied. Earth has fewer natural predators than your homeworld probably did. Many predators on Vorth Prime, flying serpents with acid breath, ground hunters with poisoned claws. We learned to fight or die. Their food arrived twice each day through a slot in the door. Thin gruel that barely qualified as nutrition, along with stale bread and murky water. Alex had been splitting his portions with Sevrak from the beginning, despite the Vorthak's protests. You need strength more than I do, Alex explained. Your body is larger and burns more energy. Humans are strange creatures, Sevrak rumbled. You give away resources that keep you alive. It's called cooperation. Sometimes helping others helps yourself in the long run. Sevrak seemed to find this concept fascinating. He asked endless questions about human social structures, family relationships, and cooperative behaviors. Alex realized the Vorthak was trying to understand something that went against everything he had been taught about humans during his capture. The guards say humans are selfish, violent. They conquer other species and take their worlds. Some humans do terrible things, Alex admitted. But most of us try to be better than our worst impulses. We form communities. We take care of our young and old. We explore the universe to learn, not just to conquer. On the fourth day, Alex noticed Sevrak moving more stiffly than usual. The Vorthak tried to hide it, but Alex's trained eye caught the subtle signs of pain and weakness. "How long since you've had proper medical care?" Alex asked. "Medical care?" Sevrak's laugh was bitter. "Prisoners receive no healing here. We live until we die. Nothing more." Alex moved closer, studying the scars that covered Sevrak's arms and torso. Many showed signs of poor healing, probably infected at some point. One particularly deep gash across his left shoulder still looked inflamed. "May I examine that wound?" Alex asked. "I have some medical training." Sevrak tensed. "Why?" "Because untreated infections can kill you, and because someone should care about your well-being." The concept seemed to confuse Sevrak. He stared at Alex for a long moment before slowly extending his arm. The wound was worse than Alex had thought. Infected tissue surrounded the old gash, and he could see signs of chronic pain in how Sevrak held himself. "This needs proper antibiotics and surgical cleaning," Alex said. "I can't do much here, but maybe I can help reduce the inflammation." Using strips torn from his prison uniform and clean water from their daily ration, Alex did what he could to clean and dress the wound. Sevrak endured the process without complaint, though Alex could see the pain in his glowing eyes. "My cubs used to do this," Sevrak said quietly. "When I returned from hunting with injuries, they would clean my wounds and bring me food until I healed." "How old were they?" "Young. Still learning to hunt. My mate was teaching them to read the wind currents and track prey through stone caves." Sevrak's voice grew distant. "They would have been great hunters." Alex continued working on the wound, being as gentle as possible. "Tell me about them." "Kira was my mate. Stronger than most males of our species. She could bring down a serpent, twice her size, and track prey across mountains. Our cubs inherited her strength." "What were their names?" "Ven and Tala." Ven was clever, always asking questions about everything he saw. Tala was brave, never afraid to explore new places. Sevrak's eyes grew brighter with memory. They would climb the highest peaks just to see what lay beyond. "They sound wonderful. They were everything to me. My pack. My purpose. When the hegemony ships came, I fought to protect them. But there were too many enemies, too many weapons. I failed them." Alex finished dressing the wound and sat back. "You didn't fail them. You loved them enough to fight impossible odds. That's not failure. Love was not enough. Love is never wasted, even when it can't save who we care about. It makes us better than we were before." Sevrak studied Alex with those glowing eyes. "You speak of love easily. Have you experienced such loss?" Alex thought about Ben, probably dead now because of their capture, about his research team aboard the Dawn's Edge, about his sister back on Earth who would never know what happened to her brother. "Yes," Alex said simply. "I have." That night, Alex developed a fever. The prison's contaminated water supply finally took its toll on his human immune system. He shivered uncontrollably despite the cell's warm air, and his vision blurred as his body fought the infection. Sevrak noticed immediately. "Human, what is wrong?" "Just sick," Alex managed through chattering teeth. "The water here isn't good for humans. You need warmth." Sevrak moved closer. "I will share body heat." "No, you might get sick too. Vorthaks do not become ill from human diseases. Different biology." Sevrak gently lifted Alex and positioned him against his furred side. The Vorthak's body radiated heat like a furnace. Alex was too weak to protest. The warmth felt wonderful against his fevered skin, and Sevrak's steady breathing was oddly comforting. He drifted in and out of consciousness, vaguely aware that the massive predator was watching over him with protective intensity. During his delirium, Alex dreamed of Earth's green forests and blue skies. He dreamed of Ben laughing at some joke, of his sister calling to wish him luck on the research mission. But when he woke, he was still in the dark cell on Keth Prime. Sevrak had not moved from his position. The Vorthak's eyes showed concern as he studied Alex's face. "The fever has broken," Sevrak announced. "You will recover." "Thank you," Alex whispered. "You saved my life." "As you have been saving mine." Sevrak's voice was gentle. "You gave me back my name. You treated my wounds. You shared your food when I was starving. You listened to stories of my family when no one else cared they existed." Alex struggled to sit up, still weak but feeling better. "We're pack now. That's what Vorthaks call it, right? Family groups that protect each other?" Sevrak's eyes widened with surprise. "Yes, pack is everything to us. Then we protect each other, no matter what the guards do to us." For the first time since Alex's arrival, Sevrak smiled. It was a frightening expression with all those sharp teeth, but Alex could see the genuine warmth behind it. "Pack," Sevrak agreed. "Until death takes us." The surveillance cameras recorded everything, transmitting images to Administrator Krell's office. But instead of violence and death, they showed something unprecedented in the prison's history. A human and a Vorthak, natural enemies according to galactic conventional wisdom, caring for each other like family. Krell watched the feeds with growing anger and confusion. This was not what was supposed to happen. Predators killed prey. It was the natural order. Yet somehow the human had done the impossible. He had turned a monster back into a person. Outside their cell, other prisoners began to take notice. Voices whispered in alien languages, spreading word of the strange partnership. Some dismissed it as temporary madness. Others wondered if change might be possible in this place of eternal suffering. In Cell Z9, Alex and Sevrak continued their conversations about family, loss, hope, and the possibility that even in the darkest places, connections could be formed that transcended species and circumstance. The guards would have to find their entertainment elsewhere. 2 weeks had passed since Alex's fever broke. The bond between him and Sevrak had grown stronger each day, built on shared stories, mutual care, and quiet understanding. Other prisoners in nearby cells had begun to notice the change in the Vorthak's behavior. "The beast doesn't roar anymore," whispered Garl, a three-eyed alien in the adjacent cell. "Before the human came, it would howl for hours every night. Now there is only silence." "Strange silence," agreed Nix from across the corridor. "Peaceful silence. I sleep better now." Administrator Krell was not pleased with this development. He paced in his office, reviewing security footage from Cell Z9. The human and Vorthak sat together, talking quietly about something. No violence. No fear. No entertainment value whatsoever. "Increase the heat in their cell by 10 degrees, Krell ordered his security chief. "Let's see how long their friendship lasts when they're uncomfortable." The temperature rose gradually over the next day. Soon the metal walls became hot to touch and the air grew stifling. Alex's human physiology struggled with the heat, while Sevrak's thick fur made him pant constantly. "The guards are testing us," Alex said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "They want to see if stress will make us turn on each other." Sevrak nodded, his long tongue hanging out as he tried to cool down. "Among my people, shared hardship strengthens pack bonds. We endure together." Alex moved closer to Sevrak, despite the heat radiating from the Vorthak's body. "Then we endure together." They rationed their water carefully, sharing every drop. When Alex grew dizzy from dehydration, Sevrak used his larger body to create shade. When Sevrak's thick fur became matted with sweat, Alex helped groom the areas the Vorthak couldn't reach. "This is grooming behavior," Alex explained as he carefully worked tangles from Sevrak's shoulder fur. "Many Earth species do this to show care for family members. Vorthaks groom their cubs." Sevrak rumbled contentedly. And mates groom each other. It shows trust. Do I remind you of your cubs? Sevrak considered this question seriously. No, you are not helpless like a cub, but you care for others before yourself. You think of the pack's needs, not just your own. These are qualities I would want my cubs to learn. The heat continued for 3 days before Krell finally gave up and returned the temperature to normal. His experiment had failed completely. Instead of driving the prisoners apart, the hardship had made their bond even stronger. Try reducing their food rations by half, Krell ordered next. Hunger came slowly but steadily. Their already meager portions shrank to almost nothing. Alex's human body began consuming its own muscle mass for energy. Sevrak, with his much larger frame, suffered even more severely. You must eat my portion, Sevrak said on the second day of reduced rations. Humans need regular nutrition to survive. Absolutely not, Alex replied firmly. We share everything, equally, or neither of us eats. This is foolish. I can survive longer without food than you can. Maybe. But survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about staying who we are. Sevrak stared at Alex for a long moment. You would rather die than abandon your principles. Wouldn't you? Isn't that exactly what you did when you fought to protect your family? The question hit Sevrak like a physical blow. His glowing eyes grew distant as memories surfaced. Yes. I chose to fight impossible odds rather than flee and live as a coward. Then you understand why we share the food equally. As hunger weakened. Them both, they spent more time talking about their past lives. Alex described Earth's vast oceans and towering mountains, its countless species of plants and animals. Sevrak spoke of Vorth Prime's crystal caves and floating islands, its aurora-filled skies and singing stone formations. My cubs loved the singing stones, Sevrak said softly. They would sit for hours listening to the music the wind made through the crystal formations. Ven learned to predict weather changes by how the stones sang. What did Tala like best? The floating islands. She would climb the anchor vines that held them to the ground, then leap between platforms like she was flying. Kira was always afraid Tala would fall, but I knew our daughter was too clever for that. Alex smiled despite his hunger. She sounds like she had your adventurous spirit. And Kira's grace. The perfect combination. Sevrak's expression grew sad. I dream about them sometimes. In my dreams they are still alive, still learning, still growing strong. Dreams can be a gift, Alex said gently. They let us spend time with people we love, even when they're gone. Do you dream of your lost ones? Every night. My sister, Emma, my friend Ben, my research team. Sometimes in dreams I can warn them about the attack, sometimes we all escape together. Sometimes we never leave Earth at all. But you always wake up here. Yes. But the dreams remind me who I am. Who I was before this place. They keep me human. Sevrak nodded slowly. And they keep me Vorthak. Not just the monster the guards created. On the 4th day of reduced rations, something unexpected happened. Their food slot opened, but instead of the usual meager portion, someone had left extra bread and a small container of what looked like meat paste. What is this? Alex asked, examining the unexpected bounty. Sevrak sniffed the air and his eyes widened. Garl, the prisoner in the next cell. This smells like him. Alex looked toward the wall separating them from their neighbor. Garl gave us his food, a weak voice answered from the adjacent cell. You share with each other, now others share with you. Word spreads through prison. Some of us remember what kindness looks like. More gifts appeared over the following days. Nix contributed water purification tablets he had somehow acquired. A reptilian creature 3 cells down shared dried fruit that he had been hoarding. Even prisoners Alex had never seen sent small offerings through the complex network of prison communication. This is unprecedented, Chief Guard Maul reported. To Administrator Krell. Prisoner cooperation is strictly forbidden, yet somehow they're organizing mutual aid networks. Krell's pale blue skin flushed darker with anger. How is this possible? The human in Vorthak started it. Their behavior has inspired others. Prisoners who haven't spoken to each other in years are now sharing resources and information. Then, we separate them immediately. Sir, moving the Vorthak requires a full security team and heavy restraints. He's been cooperative lately, but if we try to take his cellmate... Krell considered this. The last time they had tried to move Sevrak, he had injured 17 guards and caused massive property damage before they managed to sedate him. A repeat performance could destabilize the entire prison. Double their guard patrols, Krell decided. Install additional surveillance equipment, and prepare a special holding cell in the maximum security wing. Soon I'll have to make a decision about the human. That night, Alex noticed Sevrak behaving strangely. The Vorthak kept positioning himself between Alex and the cell door, his muscles tense and ready for action. His glowing eyes scanned the corridor beyond their cell with predatory alertness. "What's wrong?" Alex asked. "Danger approaches," Sevrak growled softly. "I can smell fear and anticipation on the guards. They plan something." "What kind of something?" "Separation, punishment, perhaps death." Sevrak's claws extended slightly. "But they will not take you easily." Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cell's temperature. "Sevrak, if they come for me, don't fight them." "What?" The Vorthak turned to stare at Alex in disbelief. "You are Pack. Pack protects Pack. And Pack also makes sacrifices to keep the whole group safe. If you fight the guards, they'll kill you, then we both lose. I cannot simply watch them take you." "Yes, you can. Because that's what's best for our Pack right now." Alex moved closer to his friend. "Promise me, no matter what they do, no matter what they threaten, you won't give them an excuse to hurt you." Sevrak's entire body trembled with conflicting emotions. Every instinct screamed at him to protect his packmate, but Alex was asking him to do the opposite. "This goes against everything I am," Sevrak whispered. "I know. But sometimes being strong means choosing not to fight." Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Multiple guards moving with purpose toward their cell. Sevrak's eyes blazed brighter as his predatory senses detected the approaching threat. "Promise me," Alex said urgently. Sevrak closed his eyes in anguish. When he opened them again, the wild light had dimmed to something resembling acceptance. "I promise," he said quietly, "but this tears my soul." The footsteps stopped outside their door. The cell door burst open with a crash that echoed through the entire corridor. 8 heavily armed guards poured in, weapons trained on both prisoners. Behind them stood Administrator Krell, his black eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Dr. Alex Reed," Krell announced formally, "you are hereby sentenced to public execution for crimes against the hegemony. You will serve as an example to other prisoners about the cost of disrupting prison order." Sevrak's muscles bunched as every predatory instinct screamed at him to attack. His claws extended fully, and a low growl rumbled deep in his chest. The guards tensed, fingers tightening on their weapons. Alex stepped forward quickly, placing himself between Sevrak and the guards. "I'll come willingly. No need for violence." "No," Sevrak roared, his voice shaking the metal walls. "I will not. Let them take you." "Remember your promise," Alex said quietly, his eyes locked on Sevrak's glowing gaze. "Remember what Pack really means." The internal battle playing out across Sevrak's features was painful to watch. Every line of his body radiated barely contained violence, yet he fought against his own nature because Alex had asked him to. "Touching," Krell said mockingly, but ultimately meaningless. "Guards, restrain the human." 2 guards moved toward Alex with energy shackles. Sevrak's growl grew louder, and his massive frame trembled with the effort of restraining himself. Other prisoners in nearby cells began to take notice, pressing against their doors to see what was happening. "What's all that noise?" called Garley, from the adjacent cell. "They're taking the human," Nick shouted back. The word spread rapidly through the prison's informal communication network. Within minutes, voices echoed from dozens of cells as prisoners learned what was happening. The sound grew from scattered calls to a unified roar of protest. "Impossible," Chief Guard Maul reported to Krell over his communicator. "The entire cell block is in uprising. Prisoners are demanding the humans' release. Krell's expression grew uglier. Then they can watch him die and learn what defiance costs. The guards placed shackles on Alex's wrists. Something extraordinary happened. Sevrak suddenly stood to his full height, towering over everyone in the cell. But instead of attacking, he began to speak in a voice that carried clearly through the prison corridors. "I am Sevrak of the Stormcliffs clan," he announced in perfect galactic standard. "This human is my pack brother. He showed kindness when the galaxy offered only cruelty. He shared food when he was starving. He gave healing when he was sick. He chose cooperation over conquest." More voices joined in from other cells. "The human shared with us too," Garl called out. "He started the food-sharing network. He taught us about working together," added Nyx. "He showed us another way." "The human brought peace to our nightmares," shouted a prisoner from the far end of the corridor. "No more screaming. No more endless rage." Administrator Krell looked around in growing alarm as the chorus of support grew louder. This was not how prison hierarchies were supposed to work. Prisoners were supposed to be isolated, suspicious, and hostile toward each other. They were not supposed to form alliances, especially across species lines. "Silence!" Krell screamed, but his voice was lost in the growing cacophony. "You want to know humanity's secret weapon?" Alex called out over the noise, addressing Krell directly. "It's not technology or tactics, it's this. Connection. Understanding. The ability to see past fear and hatred to find common ground." "Lies," Krell snarled. "Humans are conquerors, destroyers." "Some are," Alex agreed. "Just like some members of every species. But most of us are trying to build something better. We form communities. We help our neighbors. We adopt orphans from other families as our own children." Sevrak stepped closer to Alex, his promise forgotten in the face of this revelation. "Is this why your people defeated the great empires? Not through superior weapons, but by turning their own soldiers against them?" Alex nodded. "Probably. If someone invaded Earth and treated humans the way the hegemony treats its prisoners, some humans would fight back. But others would try to understand the invaders, to find common ground, to show them a different way. And the invaders would find themselves fighting beside humans instead of against them." Sevrak finished, understanding dawning in his glowing eyes. Krell realized the conversation had gone too far. "Enough! Guards, take the human to the execution chamber immediately." But as the guards moved to comply, something unprecedented happened in the history of detention facility Omega-7. Sevrak stepped directly in front of Alex, spreading his arms wide to shield his friend. His voice rose above the prison's chaos. "If you want him, you go through me." The guards hesitated. They had seen what Sevrak could do when motivated. Their weapons might eventually stop him, but several of them would die in the process. Then Garl's voice echoed from the adjacent cell. "You want the human, you go through all of us." "All of us," Nyx agreed loudly. The chant spread through the entire cell block. "All of us, all of us, all of us." Prisoners who had been enemies for years suddenly stood together in solidarity. Species that had been at war for millennia found themselves on the same side. The impossible had become inevitable, sparked by one human's simple act of sharing food with a hungry alien. "Sir," Chief Guard Maul reported nervously, "we have a full prison riot developing. Multiple cell blocks are joining the protest. We need reinforcements." Krell's carefully ordered world was collapsing around him. Prisoners were supposed to hate each other. They were supposed to compete for scraps and fight over territory. They were not supposed to unite in defense of a single individual. "Open fire!" Krell commanded desperately. "Kill them all!" But the guards looked at each other uncertainly. They were outnumbered hundreds to one, and the prisoners' unity had shaken something fundamental in their understanding of how the universe worked. In that moment of hesitation, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Emergency lights flashed as automated systems detected unauthorized movement in multiple sectors. The prison's own security protocols were being triggered by the scale of the uprising. "Escape pods are launching," reported another guard. "Someone's accessing the shuttle bays." "How is that possible?" Krell screamed. Alex smiled despite his shackles. Because when people work together, they can accomplish things that seem impossible. Your prisoners have been sharing information, as well as food. They know this facility's weaknesses better than you do. Through the chaos, Sevrak leaned close to Alex. I understand now why the great empires failed to conquer your world. They tried to defeat humanity with fear and violence. But humans respond to such treatment by becoming stronger, more united. It's not unique to humans, Alex replied. Look around. Every species here is capable of the same thing. They just needed someone to remind them. The sound of approaching reinforcements echoed through the corridors, but so did the sounds of systematic escape attempts. Prisoners who had given up hope years ago were suddenly working together with scientific precision, using shared knowledge to overcome obstacles that had seemed insurmountable. Krell grabbed a weapon from one of his guards and pointed it directly at Alex. None of this matters. The human dies here and now. But Sevrak moved faster than anyone thought possible. His massive hand closed around the weapon, crushing it to scrap metal. His other 3 hands lifted Krell off the ground as easily as picking up a toy. The human lives, Sevrak said quietly, his voice carrying absolute certainty. And so do we all. The prison walls shook as more explosions echoed from the outer sections. Prisoners were taking control of vital systems, opening sealed doors, accessing communication arrays. What had started as a simple friendship between 2 cellmates had become something much larger. Impossible, Krell whispered as Sevrak held him suspended in the air. This cannot be happening. Your mistake, Alex said, standing despite his shackles, was thinking that fear could triumph over hope indefinitely. You were wrong. Outside their cell, the sounds of systematic liberation continued. Species that had never cooperated before were working together with remarkable efficiency. The prison's own communication systems carried messages of coordination and mutual support across vast distances. Sevrak gently set Krell down, then turned to Alex with something that might have been pride in his glowing eyes. Pack protects pack, but sometimes pack becomes something larger than anyone expected. Alex nodded, watching as guards threw down their weapons and prisoners emerged from cells that had held them for years or decades. Sometimes it becomes hope for an entire galaxy. In the distance, ships could be heard launching from the prison's docking bays, free prisoners, heading toward the frontier worlds where humans and aliens were already building something new together. A coalition based not on conquest and fear, but on the radical idea that former enemies could become family. The revolution had begun with a simple act of sharing food. It would end with the transformation of how species related to each other throughout the known galaxy. And at its heart stood a human xenobiologist and a Vorthak predator who had proven that even the most unlikely friendships could change the universe.